In today's video, we have further updates on the Evander Kane situation in San Jose. What exactly did he do to break COVID protocol and have his contract terminated? We also have big news of the New York Islanders organization potential trade that they may be working on, according to Arthur Staple, involving defenseman Jeff Chychrun. We also have some other trade rumors involving Tomas Hertl and an update on John Klingberg. All that and more coming up next. Welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have a variety of NHL news and rumors to talk about here today. But before we jump into the news, we do have a couple of other things I do want to quickly touch on. First up, I just want to offer my condolences to the high school hockey player in Connecticut who had an unfortunate accident on the ice and resulted in him losing his life. He passed away at the young, tragic age of 16 years old. He was only in grade 10. Teddy, I think his last name is Balkind. I'm not sure if it's Balkind or Balkind, but it was a freak accident on the ice. Essentially, what we're hearing happen is he fell to the ice, and another player was coming his way, was unable to stop, and he got a skate blade in the neck. Real sad situation. Obviously, they rushed him to a hospital, tried to do everything they could, but unfortunately it was too late. Now, the school that he plays at in Connecticut, they do follow NCAA rules and protocols there. I don't have the details. I can't say whether he was or he wasn't, but I can say that the rules stipulate that they're not required to wear neck guards under NCAA rules for the hockey program. So I don't know that he was or he wasn't. I mean, he could have had one on and it still could have gotten him. It's not a complete, 100% guarantee that you're never going to get an injury or have something freak like that happen. But it makes you think back to, for me at least, I know being old enough to remember way back, the Buffalo Sabres goalie Clint Malarchuk, that was he got hit in the jugular, and they were able to save his life because of some real quick thinking medical people there in the Sabres organization. But a real freak accident. I just want to extend my condolences. Real sad story. Nobody deserves that. 16 years old, tragically died, loving what he loved to do most, play hockey. Obviously, some incredibly sad news, and I just want to acknowledge it and pass along my condolences. Also, before we jump into the news, I do want to make mention, too, of the HDA campaign that launched today. HDA, of course, as if you're not familiar, is the Hockey Diversity Alliance. Of course, the HDA Alliance was formed in the NHL not too long ago. Of course, that all stemmed after everything happened in the U.S. and Minneapolis with George Floyd, and there was obviously a lot of attention on racism. Many NHL players from different ethnic backgrounds got together who have fought and dealt with these types of issues themselves in the past to form an alliance to help get that type of thing out of hockey. Hockey's had its own fair share of situations as well. Of course, the Akim Aliu situation comes front and center to mind. Of course, Akim Aliu is right at the forefront here of the HDA, along with players like Matt Dumba, Nazem Kadri, Ryan Reeves, Anthony Duclair, and many others as well. So certainly their big campaign right now is hashtag Tape Out Hate. So they're launching a new program through their sponsor Budweiser. So it's a line of hockey tape that they're launching, which is basically anti-racism. It's, like I said, the hashtag Tape Out Hate. It has all kinds of sayings on it to kind of discourage that kind of behavior. And I certainly recommend you check it out. All the sales have a portion going to the HDA fundraising abilities to promote awareness around this very important issue. If you live in Canada, these tape will be available in Canadian Tire stores in the next couple of weeks. I think it's January the 19th or 20th, around there is when it was launching there in Canada. I'm not sure exactly where it's available in the States, but I will have the link to the website if you want to check it out and support this fantastic cause. I know many of you that watch this channel certainly either have kids in hockey, play hockey yourselves, and certainly even if you don't, you could buy the tape just to support this fantastic cause and these guys that are really doing their best work here to eliminate, hopefully at some point we can say it's eliminated, racism from the game of hockey and make it so that hockey really is for everyone and everybody feels fully included and able to participate, which is certainly a big part of what they're trying to accomplish here. Now, with all that being said, let's jump into the news. Of course, we saw the breaking news earlier today on Evander Kane, which was a video on the channel. Many of you I know have already watched it. In case you haven't heard, the San Jose Sharks have placed Evander Kane in unconditional waivers today for the purpose of contract termination. So they're done with him. Now they're citing breach of contract and violation of AHL COVID-19 protocols. We know he just got done recently serving a suspension after being investigated for violating NHL COVID-19 protocols, which was essentially determined that he had provided a fake vaccine record. So obviously, he's been in trouble for this type of stuff before, just served a lengthy suspension, been under investigation for many other things coming from his off-ice situation with his estranged wife, which is before the courts. He's, of course, had a very public bankruptcy going on, all kinds of distractions and other things that are, not positive going on in the life of Evander Kane. And now with this AHL violation, we're hearing from reporter Kevin Kurz, who, of course, now moved to New York recently, but still was a long-time beat reporter for the San Jose Sharks, so he still has a lot of sources there, is reporting that he's hearing that Evander Kane reportedly traveled to Vancouver while COVID positive. So he broke COVID protocols, meaning while he was tested positive, he was still traveling, which is obviously against violations. I'm not sure how it came to be. I know a lot of places require you to test and stuff to enter through borders and things, so I don't know if I'm sure if that's where how it was picked up or whatnot, but still just a real crazy, mind-boggling situation. This contract is going to cost him just shy of $23 million that they have left owing on it, that they're now not going to have to pay him. They get their cap space back, and he basically becomes a free agent, and we don't know if another team will give him an opportunity. And like I said, I also said that in the other video, wouldn't be shocking to find out if he tries to fight this through with the NHLPA's help. I'm not sure if they will support him and try to fight that or not. We've seen other cases in the past where that was done. So we will see, but this certainly is not the last we're going to hear about the Kane situation and the contract being terminated. Now, as I mentioned, we also had some other news today. New York Islanders head coach Barry Trotz has returned back to the team. Of course, Barry Trotz was recently away from the team on a personal leave due to a private personal matter. We did find out today that it was because his mom had passed away. I believe she was 78 years old, so we certainly want to extend our condolences to Barry Trotz. As he mentioned, it was a tough time. His first parent that he's lost, and certainly never easy, regardless of if you can see it coming or not see it coming or how old they are. They'll still always be your parents, right? So certainly want to extend our condolences to him, and hopefully he's back in the swing of things here with his team. And we do have a big trade rumor regarding his team, the New York Islanders, that we do want to talk about here from some information that's being reported and discussed by Arthur Staple. He believes they're in big time here in a hunt for a potential trade on Jacob Chychrun of Arizona. Before we get into the details of that, I do need to pause for a moment and acknowledge our channel sponsor, Manscaped. Top Shelf Hockey is proud to be sponsored by Manscaped. And guess what? Hockey fans are buzzing because hockey is back. Want to know what else is buzzing? The Lawnmower 4.0 from our friends at Manscaped, who are the global leaders in male grooming, trusted by over 2 million men worldwide. I highly recommend the Performance Package 4.0, which includes their new state-of-the-art Lawnmower 4.0, as well as some other great features. The lawnmower itself has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multifunction switch that can engage as a travel lock, gives you the ability to turn on an LED spotlight as well for a more precise shave. Also, as I've mentioned on numerous occasions before, Manscaped is about much more than just a trimmer. They have everything, all aspects covered in male grooming, including some great formulations like their brand new ultra premium body wash to keep you smelling great all day long. It's certainly a big hit here. I absolutely love it. They also have other exfoliators and gels to keep all aspects of your grooming needs covered. I highly recommend you check out manscaped.com. Use promo code TSH for 20% off and free shipping. That's 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com using promo code TSH. So thanks very much for watching that promotional content. I do greatly appreciate it. Of course, as I mentioned before, Manscaped's launched a lot of new products lately, including body wash, shampoo and conditioner, lip balm. Like, they're really trying to push the whole movement here. These grooming products, they're much, much more than a lot of people associate them being just, the trimmer and the things that they were originally known for, which is still very prominent, big part of their business, but certainly many other products that you should consider. So check out the website, which will be linked in the pinned comment. With our promo code TSH, you get yourself a discount. Of course, as I mentioned, we have news on a potential rumor here regarding the Islanders being very interested in defenseman Jacob Chychrun. Of course, Arthur Staples recently made note of the fact that he believes the Islanders do have heavy interest in Chychrun, and he's gone over what he believes what it would take from the Islanders to get a deal done. Now, of course, he's not suggesting that they're actually discussing this specific deal. This is just his opinion on what he feels it would take to get it done. So just like the trade we talked about yesterday from Elliot Friedman between the Habs and the Oilers, it's just a hypothetical deal that they were talking about. This is not a rumor saying that this is the pieces that are on the table being discussed, but he is saying he does believe the Lou and the Islanders do definitely have interest in this player. So that much we can go on. Will they get a deal done? Only time will tell. But according to Arthur Staple, he feels for the Islanders to have a real strong chance to land this player from the Coyotes, they would have to include a young forward like Anthony Beauvillier. Of course, that's a lot of it too for cap purposes for the money. That'll come close to leveling things out in that sense. And they also would include young defensemen, still basically a prospect, Robin Salo. Of course, Arttu Räty, who was their second round pick in 2021 NHL draft, and the future first round pick likely in 2022. So that's 4 pieces, including 1 roster player, 2 prospects, and a first rounder. I mean, we know that basically right now it's been rumored that Chychrun, is being shopped by the Coyotes, or at least maybe not shopped is the right word, but certainly listening heavily on calls and interest from around the league, and there's plenty of it, and that they believes that they're looking for a similar type of package to Jack Eichel. Now, Jack Eichel's a center, very different player, but still in the same kind of sense that they feel Chychrun could be a big block for teams to build around. So they're looking for 4 pieces, as was the Sabres around Eichel. I mean, they were always looking for 4 to 5 pieces to get that deal done, right? So now, to me, this is they land Chychrun with the Islanders, if you think about it, you throw him with Dobson, and then you get Pelican Pollock. I mean, that's a heck of a top 4, especially the way Dobson's been playing lately. He'd be a great fit there, there's no doubt. And I certainly see that, that desire to make that happen. But this is a big package, though. You're giving up 3 potential pieces of your future, and Beauvillier, who is obviously one of the younger players on the team. Yes, he's been inconsistent, had his moments, he's been really good at times too, but he's still young enough that, I don't know, right? Obviously they have a lot of older veterans right now not hauling their weight, like Palmieri comes to mind, and Parise comes to mind, and even like at times you can make an argument that some of the other guys too are not really having their absolute best season, but obviously a guy like Barzal you want to build around. Anders Lee's getting a little older, but a great veteran. He's still playing pretty well. Brock Nelson's been missing some time, but he was having a solid year before as well. Josh Bailey's not doing good. Like Bailey, Palmieri, Parise, like those 3 guys right there, they're not getting it done. Even Pajot was not having a great year either. So, they get rid of a guy like Beauvillier when you have these older vets not cutting it, it would sting a little bit. But at the same time, Chychrun is a real solid piece to build around on the back end. That they're missing that another real solid D-man who can play physical, move the puck, which he can do. He'd be a terrific fit there. But to me, it is a pretty steep asking price. If I'm Lou Lamoriello, I'm probably holding off here, especially considering where they're at in the standings. I'm not sure that it's really going to save the season at this point. So is it really worth making that deal now? You're better off to remain in contact with them, stay in the conversation, and I would try to wait this out. And at some point, you think the price might come down a little bit, and if they can remove one of those pieces from there, then maybe I would consider that. But definitely not the way it is to me. I mean, it's a great idea that they're going after Chychrun. It sees exactly what they're missing. But they also could use another scoring forward because those other guys, like I mentioned, are not getting it done. And it looks like they might have to attempt to do that via free agency, whether they go after a guy like Philip Forsberg or Johnny Gaudreau or any of these, any of these other potential pending UFAs. If they make it there, those would be the guys that they'd be looking at. And they can't really do both, but unless Lou works some more magic in the offseason and can move out some of those other guys that are not getting it done, or they consider trading Varlamov, which is another real possibility. Let Sorokin run with the ball, bring in another cheaper goalie as the backup. That's a way for them to save some cap space as well. But to me, this is a great idea. The price is just a little bit too steep. So if I'm Lou, I'm holding on here and going to wait and see. if the price comes down just a little bit and I can remove at least one of those pieces out of the equation. Now, a couple of quick updates here as well. We're hearing a top player on Frank Saravalli's trade bait board that he put out the other day was Tomas Hertl in San Jose. Of course, now Sharks are in a completely different situation cap space-wise now with the whole Kane situation we just talked about. But Hertl, he believes, is getting strong interest from the New York Rangers. And the Rangers, of course, one of the top teams in the NHL right now, having a real solid year. Many feel they will add and try to go for it, considering how good they are doing. Beginning of the season, you probably would have thought, even if the Rangers are doing well, they probably won't spend much to go forward at the deadline because, they're still in the midst of coming out of this rebuild. They're kind of challenging for playoffs and getting into the mix here, but they've really taken the leaps and bounds ahead of a lot of these teams. So you have to think that Chris Drury's going to want to give his team an extra, push here at the playoff deadline. So we'll see. But Hertl apparently is high on the radar, according to Saravalli. And an update on John Klingberg, who we also talked about yesterday. We got the pretty substantial news that he wants out of Dallas, according to Dave Pagnotta of the fourthperiod.com. Well, now dailyfaceoff.com today has a quote from Klingberg saying that, for me as a player, I don't feel appreciated. So that pretty well confirms the trade request. It confirms that that relationship is not good. And clearly he wants to be moved. And I would think to me that it's not going to matter to him, at least, where the Stars are at when it comes to playoffs or not. He just wants to move on by the sounds of it. So I don't think they have any chance at signing him in the offseason. So, if you don't move him, you're going to lose him for nothing. And if you keep him as your own rental, you better be sure that you're good enough to really make a deep run. And to me, I don't think they're at that. They've been an inconsistent team. They could make the playoffs. I'm not ruling it out. But at the same time, I think they're far from a lock. So if I'm Jim Nill, I'm probably trying to figure out a trade to get some assets back here because I just don't think that it's really worth it. We've seen other teams before, like the Blues, for example. A number of years back, they traded Paul Stastny at the deadline, even though they were heading for the playoffs. The team was really confused, kind of thinking that the GM didn't have confidence in them, considering he's subtracting going into the playoffs. But he knew he wasn't going to be able to bring him back, and he wanted to get something in return. He wasn't sure that the team was good enough to make a deep run, so, you got to asset manage, right? So we'll see where that goes, but certainly Klingberg, for a right-shot defenseman who's been, 40, 50 points in the past, making $4.25 million, wouldn't be tough for teams to fit in at the deadline now. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes. As far as next offseason, he'll be one of the top defenseman UFAs to see where he ends up there. I know Carolina's been linked to him numerous times for like the last few months since his name was first mentioned earlier in the season. So we'll see if maybe that's a potential landing spot where he could end up. Let me know your thoughts on what we discussed here today down in the comments. We'll discuss further. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. We'll keep you up to date with all the latest news, rumors, and analysis on all 32 NHL teams. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.